The executive director of Galería de la Raza, and I want to welcome you to Galería Studio 24. By show of hands, who is here for the first time? Well, welcome to our new finished space. We're not a new organization. We actually turn 55 soon, but this is our Studio 24, one of two spaces that will be operating. And I encourage you to come and join us for our openings, where we're going to be here actively. We've been active for the last 18, 24 months, and we'll continue in this space mostly until we open Studio 16, which is finally under construction. The interior is going to be finished by August of 2026, so we're really, really excited. That'll be our black box theater and dedicated gallery space. This will continue to be our workforce development annex, our think tank, where we call and have our community conversaciones, charlas, conspire, how we're gonna, keep doing what we do. So I just want to thank you all for being here. I think it's a really important day to see and hear from these artists and what their journey has been, creating wonderful works that have cultivated so many of our lives. And I'm totally fangirling. When I was asked if we would consider doing this, I'm like, yes. Just send me an email, we'll make it happen. So I want to thank today our co-presenter, which is the Latinx Research Center of UC Berkeley, for the collaboration. Today the event is going to be set up with a presentation. We will start with 1 hour and 30 minutes, and then we're going to break. There is a meal that we're going to be offering folks, and then you'll have time to eat about 30 minutes. We're nice and comfy, digesting. Then we're going to come back to the center and have an artist conversation. There are little note cards in the tables that you're sitting with. I encourage you, if a question comes up, write it down, we'll collect these so that we can go into the Q&A and we don't get into this diploma. So before we quickly present our moderator, I want to thank Paola in the front, I want to thank Yvette who's handling here. I want to thank also our volunteers, Elena and Sara, my partner, for going to be handling the room. And volunteers that came from UC Berkeley community. I have Etta, who helped us with helping us. And then through the in registration, thank you to the community event. And then with that, keep our doors open. With that said, I'm going to introduce the moderator. Laura Pérez, actually Laura Elisa Pérez, is a professor of Chicana Latinx and Ethnic Studies and chair of the Latinx Research Center at UC California. She received her Harvard University and an BA/MA joint degree at the University of Chicago. Specialists in journals, anthologies, and exhibition catalogs on decolonial and Latinx art, Latinx spirituality, and Latinx critical thought and philosophy. Amongst the books she has written are Chicana Art, The Politics of Spiritual and Aesthetic Alterities, and most recently co-edited the exhibition catalog for Maria Mesa Bain's Archaeology of the Memory. She curated and contributed essays to the third book in the Chicana Legacy Codices series, Tacuila Visions, Apparitions and Transformations, presenting the work of Chicana artists Yreina D, Cervántez, and Celia Herrera Rodríguez. And she is also just super unique and respected Iguana that keeps us going and grounded in ideas and thought and community. So thank you so much. One thing I did forget to say, and I really am spend time with them, just walk around. There's such lovely offerings. So thank you to all and all.
The panel will be seated. So, good afternoon. A warm welcome to all of you. I'm Nada Pérez. I just did a beautiful introduction to myself. I hope I did the justice to the panel. Abby, fabulous director of the Galería de Raza. Yreina D was curatorial programs manager of all of operation. And Galería, other staff and volunteers who are here today. And I want to thank Luis Hernández, who's full of hair. He is the administrative manager of the Latinx Center. And I want to thank our math and skilled staff. Once is at the very front. She's hopefully will be able to do this over here. I'm thank Nicole Rudolph, who's behind the scenes, and yes, Eduardo, who was at Berkeley and luckily showed up to for volunteering. It's been a pleasure for me to work with the artist Felicia Rice, whose artworks are known by anyone who knows Chicana Legacy Codices. It's a dream for me to work with all of these artists and to have collaborated with Felicia on this. Felicia runs and Nicole Rudolph is executive director of the online museum. And of course, the artist's works featured in the Visions, which is the latest Chicana Legacy Codices art book, which focuses on historic Chicana artists. Our role was one of the most enjoyable things I did last year, and that was to select the artist featured, to write essays, and to edit the cookbook. We are fortunate to have all of these women with us on today's panel. I will introduce each briefly, and then they will spend about 10 minutes showing slides and talking about the work that they do in this work of this particular codex. After the panelists speak, we're going to take a half hour for people to get some food, which is and we'll come back and do Q&A. Galería has been necessarily asked to help us making sure that we lead the program by 4 o'clock. Until then, let's really enjoy ourselves, right? Let's not feel start to today. Okay, so let's see. Okay, there's also short introductions. Celia Herrera Rodríguez, right there. After many teaching engagement all the community and the university, Celia is a return home, refocusing on her work, family, and community. She led a center at UC Santa Barbara with Yreina D, and she's recovered from that incredibly important work. Some of her contributions include RCAF in mid-flight, the artwork and the influence of the royal. An open and virtual and then Felicia Rice, that I started to speak a little bit about, who is right here to my left, has been printing and publishing art skills in collaboration with her letterpress studio under the Moving Parts Press imprint for over 35 years. Early exposure through her parents to the artists of the Mexican art Chicano movement and American practices led Felicia to collaborate with Latinx writers and artists. And then next, I want to say too, Nicole Rudolph is the director of the online Museo, Eduardo, Carrillo, and serves editions of Liquidations, which can be found at the UC Center for Special Collections and on the Museo's website. And recently, she'll tell you about the story she put together for Google Arts and Culture. Museo funded Liquidations as part of my mission to continue the legacy of Chicano artist Eduardo Carrillo through the support of the Chicanx community. And then finally, we have Cervántez. Cervántez has produced art for over 50 years. It's informed by Native American spirituality, Mexican traditions, Chicanx, Latinx, and Chicana indigenous feminist thought perspective. She's a professor emerita of the Chicana Studies. In 2022, she received the Anonymous was a Woman Arts Award for Outstanding Achievement. In 2024, she was a part of Resistance Honoring the 35th anniversary Center for the Study of Political Graphics. Also that year, she was awarded the prestigious fellowship for limited to persons. We are now going to continue the program. So thank you everybody for joining us and for listening. And we're going to start Rudolph, and then continue with Felicia, and then with Celia, and with you. Yes.
My voice is a little bit ragged. I've been presenting a lot this week. This is our big release of so excited to work with this team. The Latina Visions team has been just amazing to be around. Museo, as Laura had said, Museo Eduardo Carrillo, we attended the book last and it's amazing to see this completed. This was begun by my predecessor, seeing this work with the Latinx community in such a meaningful way. It was a proper house. I do everything I can to uphold her standards. And Felicia began that work with her book, Legacies Legacy series, which I believe is play with a friend. Yeah. And then I went on with names, the latest book, the visions. Oh. So I came in at the end. You had already finished both of them. Was being it was a great effort. And then I was asked to how could we promote this book? And one of the ways that you say is we fully digitized the book and we have it on our website. And it's not like I have the same kind of power as seeing it in full color in person, but you can still get it. So if you go, there are flyers in the front, but there's a QR code, you scan it, just right to it, you just scan it, and all the interest is happening where it will be. So there's that creation, and then also following that is the UCSC special collections. It's a small training exhibit with a whole set of books, but especially featuring Celia and Yreina community work. The final creation that's just about to come out is the Google Arts and Culture Story, which we and if you haven't really looked at the arts and culture stories, it's definitely worth trying to. It's a really wonderful way to have on a global reach, showing the importance of culture to the rest of the world, and getting the word out, especially now with the importance of this kind of community. That are still here, and we're going to continue to be here, that we began here, and there's a connection for indigeneity that we observe continuously, and especially is highlighted in the work of these artists. Google Arts and Culture Story features interviews about the book about the creation of art. Hearing them talk, and you're about to experience this, meeting here and see how their work is incredibly and I'm glad that we were able to capture this in this moment and show it to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll continue with Felicia.
This is. Now, if I'm being picked up, I'm just going to continue some parts. In my this,
See, you really We're live streaming and people need to hear. Thank you.
Is it gonna stay? I'll hold it. All right. Here we go. So, to begin. I've been in Santa Cruz almost 50 years. My limited edition on this book's an outcome of collaborative relationships between artists and writers, performance and sound artists, philosophers, and books. In 1989, I became laser focused on working together with members of the Chicano art movement of the Greater Bay Area and beyond. The next the codices we provide performers. Our everyday book is a blueprint-style codex found on the left side of the corner spine. You will find it in the book codex. 30 years ago, I worked with performance artist and writer Guillermo Gomez and artist Enrique Chagoya to produce codex from Columbus to the Border Patrol. Enrique introduced me to the structure of the accordion fold book, modeled on the colonial codex of the mission. I have been exploring this book since. Its versatility allows the book to be fully displayed and when extended, it folds down into a neat protected package from the left and right. Each spread can stand alone or the space can be expanded. Art historian and UCSC professor Rudolph wrote the introduction to this book with this this one. Wrote the introduction to this book. It is Jennifer who links my slides today, contributing eloquent essays and insights into several of the following points. I printed an edition of 45 copies of codices on the edits. I can read 5 of which were hand colored. The colored copy became the basis for a trade edition of the book, co-published with City Lights in 2000. This popular edition traveled around the world, was used extensively in classrooms, and I received inquiries about the book from scholars as far away as India. Only went out of print 20 years. From a publishing perspective, the limited edition of this book is just that, limited. It can be quite expensive to produce and reach a very small audience of collectors. In an ideal world in which a wide audience actually reads, the less expensive version adapted to many bookstores and online sales. I began creating trade versions of complex books, getting more obscure and continue to do so with most of my publications. This is Doc on Doc, undocumented art shamanic performatica. 9 years later, in 2007, I was approached by Guillermo and UCSC film professor Gustavo Vasquez about making a book in response to their video. 2 others were invited into collaboration, and the 5 of us met over a 7-year period to produce a performative artist book entitled Undocumented Art Shamanic. Doc and Doc performs the text, actual scripts for stage performance, in the absence of the performance artist, and invites them to join in the formative experience. The book addresses the political and geographic, social and psychological boundaries between the United States and Mexico. A small number are housed in a high-tech open case, which holds the accordion fold codex of my prints embedded with performance text by Guillermo, as well as critical commentary by Jennifer Gonzalez, along with video by Vasquez and sound by James Watkins. Craig Jensen bound 65 of these books, so that's sort of the number. That's the top limited edition. Too many. What's on the press? Well, let's just throw a little more paper. We have more. It's fantastic when you have 5 or 6 things to be wrapped afterward. So for this kind of book, if you want to say email, would say 65 is a lot, 40. And this book extends over 31 feet. In 2017, City Lights and Moving Parts Collaborate will publish our second grade edition paperback. And it's I have copies here if you're interested, which presents the project in its entirety. And I'm very grateful for this amazing partnership supported by Elaine Hansen to allow my books to be explained. The Google Arts and Culture story, Doc and Doc, was the first collaboration with Museo and their founding director, Nancy Anderson. Online presentations included representation, imagery, and audio tones of this artist's book. For those who didn't hear her just say, I will repeat, Google Arts and Culture hosts over 2,000 artists and cultural institutions around the world to, in their own words, art and culture online, so it's accessible to anyone, anywhere. So I continue to work with Victoria in Full Structure. It's a perfect vehicle for my work, challenging me to think like a printmaker with images embedded with experimental typography, and a book designer with job to organize content, cohesive whole, as well as a sculptor where the structure of the book in space. There are 3 artist books in the Chicana Legacy series. The legacy of the artists featured in the series contributes to cultural unity and memory and new awareness. Although most of my books are printed in small editions by hand, these books are commercially printed in a sincere effort to keep the price down, bringing art out of institutional collections and into all of our homes where it belongs. First, Caligas, the Ancestral Journey, El Viaje Ancestral, celebrates 5 muralists of the Monterey Press. Guillermo Aranda, Carrillo, Amalia Mesa Benitez participated in this project. Links the art and social movements of the 1960s, rooted in Caligas, to the next generation of Latinx. Capture the public mural of the book. I proposed that the artist hand paint a one-of-a-kind movable mural, a large accordion book, 18 by 18. Assemblage shadow box was the cover. Another edition was commercially printed in a reduced size and distributed to schools, libraries, museums, and youth studios throughout the Tri-County Monterey Bay area. Next slide. One of the Calipas artists, Amalia Mesa Baines, went on to collaborate with me on Venus and Beat chapters 1 through 4. We had begun talking about doing a project together, but it took 5 years to get it final shape. Using historic photographs, we documents the 4-part Venus and Beat autobiographical installations. Amalia completed over several decades in 1990. They chronicle 4 chapters in her life as a Chicana woman. These contemporary installations are remembrance, conflict, sorrow, loss, and resilience. Once more, Jennifer Gonzalez contributed significant depths to moving parts press project. And this brings us to visions, separations, and transformations. The third collaboration between Museo and art. What a fruitful relationship. 3 major projects focused on Chicana's art, the legacy of America, my deep thanks to Director Nicole Rudolph and Museo. Once again, we are distributing the book free of charge to public institutions to support equal access to arts for all. Tequila Visions is already in the hands of 200 California public libraries. It is also the subject of remote rights. Our partnership has enabled Tequila Visions to reach deeper and travel farther than I could ever have done on my own. Bring us to our seat, Laura. I approached Laura about drawing on the wide community of contemporary Chicana artists to create this book. I envisioned a conversation between 2 artists, one on each side of this 9.5-foot accordion. Laura invited Yreina and Celia to join us in this picture. As an introduction says the stage, then further essays provide background for each artist. We also asked one to the book, and then amplified their visual conversation with a collection of quotes from each one. Collaboration could be a key part is simply hands-on and contribution to the next collaborator. Or it can be simultaneous, an active conversation back and forth that builds into something completely unanticipated. The clear vision is that our conversation began in many meetings, produced a book, and continues today. So many thanks to Yreina, to Celia, to Lara, to Nicole for their wonderful contributions to this inevitably in the Chicana Legacy Codices.
Felicia, we'll continue with Celia Herrera Rodríguez. Yes.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me back there? How's this? Way back there. Well, primeramente, I want to say thank you very much for coming today. And thank you for bringing the energy and spirit in that I always say. I've never been to this space, but it's good to see its re-emergence. And thank you for all of you for all the work it took to get here for that to this moment. And to be able to then, create again home, for Chicana, Latino, between. Where does it start? Well, first of all, I want to start, I don't know if you know the work of Esther Jack Force. Okay, Jack Force. That's so much work. I'm right now reading Columbus and the Canada. And I can't tell you how much to remember some of the things that he put about how it is that we have survived, this onslaught that we continue to live through. But it reminded us of the end while people who spoke about creation. So I say this because my work has been really about reading the walls and the fragmentation of us. I decided this spirituality that nothing leaves the planet, including our spirits, including everything that we've brought to life, is still here amongst us. And we need to do the work of listening. And many of us have the capacity because this life is within our spirits. Some of us have those connections. Maybe all of us have the connections. Some of us tend to listen to them better. And some of us need to be clocked over the because it is a lot to be remembered. And what is here in this continent wants to live. And they can't live in this way. All of those others that surround us, that are around us, all the spirits that we never have had bodies, I stand for just these to the earth, not hurt us, but to bring us back to the earth so we could see. So when I think about my work, I think about listening. Since I was very young, I wanted to hear the story from homes, this story from the stars, from the rocks, the water, from wherever the source was. And because I grew up with stories, and realizing recently I had a death in my family, very last connection to my grandmother, my mother, that was those that came here to this Sacramento Valley, and those that we just go over. And so in remembering that, I realized that all the stories, there were some deep stories that were never told, but many of us have other families of stories go around and around and around, but are never told. And since I'm from the Galería, right, which means people of the stone, people are like stone. And so that story went with it. And so I get left the versions, and there's many. And I'm going to find through those shards and all of those, I gotta call it a penando for that. And sometimes it's glass and sometimes it's I don't know which one. But I do know that, that in looking for understanding
and language. I think this is work in the material itself, the watercolor, the pigment of stone and plant that travels on water, how it's absorbed into the paper that is made with water. So I'm working mostly on Lebanese papers and on Mate because they seem to speak to me most directly. That's been a very important process because they allow the time to listen. I think of it as playing chess. I know things, I know things. It speaks back to me. And if I listen, then what emerges from it is a language that I'm not sure. I had to say this. I made my abuela. She is not the anthropologist, not the archaeologist. And in that following that, I have to believe that what I pick up and what I feel, what I've seen from others is true. I have to also agree that no matter what kind of politics you believe me, right, I have felt weight in politics. And I have to stand firm that in order to remember, you have to believe that something is emerging. You have to accept that sometimes things, transform themselves, and something that you see is one thing and it makes it differently. But you can't see it unless you allow yourself that space or allow that space. So I keep talking about it. Having self-determination, that's what it is. It's part of our existence. And then politics then is what allowed me then to look at Abuelita walking stick. Abuelita walking stick is the cosmos. What travels, what we get hit with, everything travels far north. We're not alone in it. There's no barrier. Whatever goes through the cosmos passes through us. Somehow we experience that according to our people. So, Abuelita walking stick. The walking stick is the permiso. The walking stick is the staff, is the permiso que nos da to take that over, to acknowledge that the walks with us in terms of nature. And then the other piece was Stampa Platicutli, starting a work on from the abuelitas to the masculine energy. So I realized I had never really dealt with the masculine energy except, as my family is fragmented nature in terms of fear, in terms of abuse, in terms of loss, in terms of dislocation. And so I went to the Spiritistas, to Luisa Tish, actually. That I had to get over myself and I had to open the door because, if I had this block based on loyalty to women, we would never make the connection to what needed to be said. And so, he gave me a series of ofrendas and opened the door to that path. And so the work, actually, I do the shape the sets thing, but one of the symbols that emerges are the cookie, which is always referred to as Lord Earth and she Lord Earth. And I felt this is an example of the masculine energy of the feminine energy of the masculine. I'm not sure which, I don't think it matters except to say that maybe it opens up our consciousness to how the way that we thought about everything being in dualities, right? Instead of DNA, the way that things transition, the way things emerge from one way to another, which is what the work has been leading me to understand. So those pieces, that piece is the earth, from it emerges Maya West, and from the atmosphere, how the water travels, the water pool traveling up, blue sky, transports the energy of the thunders into the male waters that return to seed and to that's there's no poison here because there's what we live with. I don't know about the past, but right now we live with a lot of people. They show up, we don't even know, we get friendly with them, and then we get influenced. It's like, to watch my time, I'm just. El siguiente callejero, because my grandmother referred to me as a callejera, and not in a good way. And, it was true. She used to warn me about the spirits and the guy that you can bring home with you, and that's true too. So, despacio. Cuidado. Very beautiful, and now it's good. So this is in the maguey, nuestra madre maguey, the mother plant that has fed us, that has clothed us, provided so much for us, that continues to move and show us how to move beneath the earth. It connects itself, it continues to grow unseen. So medicine, as well as housing, us in giving us life. From that emerges the step, as the walking stick, because it's become its own spirit. The walking stick finds ese poder, esa palabra, that before you know it, it's in your hand and it's a responsibility. So again, it also refers to what's above and what's below. The maguey being reflected in the clouds above, and from the clouds above fall not only the rains, and the figure that you see, my friend described it as turtle. I was so happy. Thank you, Shani, for recognizing the figure. The figure, I never knew who she was, and that she was and so I'm very grateful to her for naming her. And on the right again is a hikat, and hikat along with the you don't see them all together, but it's the falling waters, it's the breath of life that continues to be on this planet, that makes us so moment that we come into this world. My grandmother, when she would touch my babies, she always used to touch the chin. Babies would look at her. So come to know that this is how we begin and end our prayers. We've heard that so often. And so it's just life. So from the emergence of the smoke, of the understanding of what is living within the piece of a Monday, a couple notice of a couple lines, a couple images that wanted to be reflected, but the rest of them we have to find. It's what you have. But finally, palabra brings me back again to remember what Jack Forbes brought to us. And this is called palabra because it didn't have a name. What came to me was when words were invented, when words came to me, and I was reading Jack Forbes and he was talking about the importance of human language, and sound, and song, and sacredness. How language and its sacredness didn't come later, how what came with it, right along with it, that is the emergence of everything was given, everything was created, was love. And how important it is to keep love in our language. So I end with that because right now it's very hard. We're so full of viciousness. And how it is that we are named. To say, Ernesto Garcia, y lo que descansa. Descansando en paz, because when he was leaving this world, it was his friends that were calling him. I heard him say various names of men that I remember 50 years ago, names that I hadn't heard in a long time. I call him Spicy. It wasn't his mom. Okay, anyway, when I think about my tío in Sacramento, he worked construction. When I go to Sacramento and I see all the cemented buildings, when I go to the airport and see all the laid cement, I used to be engaged 50 years of work in the cement. And I see the trees, those poblados, and I see, the reflection of California, and I think of nuestras manos que han hecho todo eso. It's visit was the week. It's like we see. And in return, we've been given so much. And so I want to think about love, you know, the language of what is created. Well, nuestra gente que había que know that we have all these politics, but the truth is that, you know, energy moves continuous time. We see one another, we're up against each other. You know, we make children, we make life, we make family, we make blood, you know, we create. And so it's love. And I think we have to hold on to that because I didn't think it was, we weren't held up with machine guns, you know, fighting our way to keep our staple of food in a few cans. We survived enormous how? By making relationship with the land, with everything that came to us here with each other. And so I hope that we can continue.
Thank you, Celia. Amazing as always. Thank you. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here today and everyone that's involved in organizing this. Everyone else. I couldn't have really found a better group of committees to work with. This has been a wonderful collaboration. And say that it's really special to be here today because it was not 30 or 35 years ago I met Celia Herrera, and it's also just special to me because we have been in conversation for a long time. Our work is different, but it's the same. It's really neat to be able to have a conversation with somebody and really learn so much growth of our collaborations, conversations. It's also special because here and see so long. Also some of my audience that I have not seen for a long time, which is really wonderful to be here. So I think my camino, you know, I think as I said before, I felt very aligned with Celia because in many ways we community-based skills. And my camino has also been really interesting just in terms of really grounded in the community and artists. I'm going to talk about the first piece is called Lazo Teo. And Lazo Teo was one of the first seraphs and also one of the first seraphs that I created. I self-graphics in Latinx for many years and taught there as well. And this piece was really it increases a lot of the concerns in terms of nature, being one of the nature reciprocity. All of those would be important to think about use that are finishes by ancestors. And so this in my work I use the Japanese law and the part of past, present, and represents the heart of the earth. And so it, you know, it also represents living in the selva. The mountain, so, and also, I think of it also as an Naran, you know, the idea that everybody has a garden spirit. Thing. So, the piece also is, it's dealing with different dualities, life and death. There's and the hand is also a glove, and that glove is a reference to Shikori, who's and it's also it's a nod to some of the mujeres. I worked in the Long Beach community for many years, and young something in the ornament that they wear is the bracelet. So everything in this piece is really the idea that it is a portrait wearing a mask, but not wearing a mask in the sense of how you generally think of it. You know, mask is where that you are becoming one with what is there. We're becoming one with nature, and the to remind myself not to take myself too seriously. It's also anyhow. It was, I really learned a lot about self-practice. I learned, about the different ways in which you can approach the face. So also, the Big Baby Balam is a piece that's done in watercolor. It is invoking spirits and entities of nature. It is inspired by the Olmec, the culture, in their masks. So everything on the face is related to rain, to thunder, to naives. And this was a piece that I started in 1991, and I just really it went through many different renditions and didn't really version of 2017. And that was inspired by what was going on in Chiapas, how the campesinos are being affected by NAFTA, contaminating the more pure strains, strains of corn from the Valle de Oaxaca. And so all of those different elements. And on my hand, I have the symbol of the right? The idea has built of the jaguar. They see those inspired from the and it's also again maybe Balam of course the Mayan for let's say so this was another piece in 1999. I was asked to curate the first women's ITVA. I think the women itself how I really wanted it for most time to have this. And so I was able to relate women, and the themes were the erotic, heroines, icons, and then again, so was when I was doing this piece, I was really trying to think about how I can connect these mujeres of our generation. So I thought what was really interesting is on her vestment, it's a poem that she wrote, but in her own way, very subversive because the poem is written, first of all, in one of the primary languages, and so and it was dedicated, not only was it written in Nahuatl, but it was dedicated to Bronstein, and so right that was that was really pretty amazing for her time. On her chest, she's got the image of the Rosario Castellanos. Conservaron Inés de la Cruz and the Mujeres Zapatista, because Rosario Castellanos was she was one of the from the Galería indigenismo, and although she was not indigenous herself, she was greatly so she amazing novel called she was a feminist, an Mexican feminist, and she was in a very as well. And so, and of course, I have my head Zapatista, and on her apron is her culture, the spirits of the ancestors and our connections to the ancestors. On the hand is related to the crystals and Teotihuacans, the hand of the goddess, and the spiral in the hand represents our connection to the universe. It's Mexica. And the Mexica also have a concept of universe. And on the hand is one of the poems by Rosario Castellanos. And I think, as far as what I've been trying to do, and I think many other Chicana artists have been trying to do is another way to be, another way to be human and free. And so in my work, I always use different writing script. It's always very important for me to be able to mix these different languages. At the bottom of this symbol that represents the double part is also a symbol of Carrillo, which is a symbol for Tonantzin, the goddess Tonantzin. And then there's my and then of course at the very bottom there's a reference to Ishen, and Ishen is one of the goddesses of and the hands are taken from the Mayan mudra. So when you're looking at, when you're looking at those Mayan art, you're looking at those codices, they're speaking in a language. And each one of those hands represents País, mujeres, death, life. Yeah, so and again the background, because I always like to include the jaguar, and the jaguar again is started the house. Okay, so this is like, Celia, I think what I really appreciate about Celia, she's always in the way that she just, the way that she is always really readiness to her own medicine. This piece is really about trying to find your medicine. It's primordial. And the is a word for the, also another word for artist. So it's a plant policy. This is a conversation again with the Balam. And in this instance, the Hagwad is and being a trickster. So I'm asking the jaguar, do you know where it's at? My module is, it's always with us. Your medicine is always with you. And your medicine is in the bundle on my head. So it's right there. And then the jaguar has his response to conversation going back and forth. And then the Galería on the bottom is a poem from Ms. Wapoyo, and it's here to dream, came only, that came here to sleep, came only to dream. And I also, it was, I think it's kind of full circle for me to do this, to be part of this collaboration, because codices is always like perceiving, not understanding what was being said, but feeling connected to what was there. And so, in many ways, in terms of finding my own language and being able to read that language into a contemporary reality. That's a Tecate. So, Celia and I were having a conversation about the Tecate. The Tecate is so important. If you look at a lot of this, the sheep in the codices, you usually see like the mobility that is or the picture that's there, routine, but you don't see the women so much sitting on the Tecate in the sheep codices. They do in and so it's really important for us to be having this conversation on the Tecate. And then this is the last piece. This piece is dedicated, of course, to all the environmental activists. For many of these struggles, Berta Casares, Homero González, and Martinez Pérez. And Berta Casares was an activist from the Lenca people in Honduras, and she was martyred in González was the leader of the monarch reserve in Michoacan. Pérez Martinez was a young student studying Yeah, tried to preserve a wildlife in Oaxaca, and he was also martyred. So, in this piece, um, there's a Pachico again, the little cartoon universe, and it's an ofrenda, so there's elements of water here, representative. And then there's the glyphs, the speech glyphs, and each, there's a glyph that, is a quote from, not dislodge dreams, or we cannot, you know, remove our dreams. There's a quote that she's talking about, there is not one earth for animals, there is not one earth for human beings, that we live parallel lives. And there's a quote from Francisco Alarcón, who of course was a wonderful poet. So this piece is really just and throughout the world, the people that are at the forefront of leading those struggles. Our indigenous people from all over the world, so this is dedication to them.
And Celia and Nicole and Felicia. So this is exactly what we want to keep. This is what we've organized, right? So at least make it up to you by providing a nice. So let's take half an hour. The good news is that we'll have more time. So the only thing I'll say right now is we haven't explained what Latina means. And I just want to say we witnessed what Latina means. Latina or Laquino is an Nahuatl word originally from Mexica, and that's what the interscribes are called. Even that translation, scribe, means that they were not only visual artists, as we call them today, but they were also sages. And I feel that I want to just say that this precious and historic generation, the 60s and 70s, what they have done is to bring back our awareness, our consciousness, the powerful role that we have, the words and images, the division that we have today between the so-called thinkers and the so-called artists is artificial. Our talent, and I feel that we're reborn, reborn teachers. So thank you, and let's. Ani maybe will tell us how to do the food, and then we'll come back here at 1:45 for the start questions.
So, thank you, yes. We are gonna have the table for the artist, we're gonna let them eat so they can come to have a deeper conversation. There is, bringing out food, and you can just, we got some vegetarian or vegetarian options for those that need it. And then I also wanted to say that towards the end of the conversation, I was told that Yreina brought an art piece that she did in 1974, I believe, during the time that Olga Sierra had a Sierra with us, so when she was a political prisoner in Kenya, and this beautiful pastel was treated then, and I think it's finding its way to your home finally, and Olga wanted to help her. We want to see it, we'll bring it out, and actually other work and respond. And we want to say a few words over that.
So it has been very inspiring and just illuminating and reaffirming conversation with all of you. And in particular, the words about finding our own medicine with ourselves. Thank you for that reminder. And I'm just deeply moved that Yreina, who we were colleagues and classmates and used in Santa Cruz, made this piece for us in Argentina prison. And it's the first time that I've seen it. And you have kept it in your home for 50 years. And now you have gifted it to me. And I'm really honored to see our work. So thank you.
just really quickly, in the piece is a quote from Morgan, and she's talking about how she looks out the window and she sees this bird. And the bird has built its nest on the roof of the jail. She's asking, why did the bird choose a jail to build its nest? I think it's their true reminders that it would be free by these walls. So that was the inspiration, and I was so upset. I'm so happy that you're here. You're here, and your spirit is so resilient. You're here in your brilliance. I wanted to just, after all these years, I wanted to get the person.
Okay, we're gonna listen to a little music, keep that good energy running through us. There are books, like there's books for sale still. With you, there's also t-shirts, gotta get t-shirts. They're available if you wanna keep supporting us. There's also research water at the table, but if you're feeling a little brunch and want to have a little white wine, there's also white wine that you can buy for a donation. We're gonna get a little music. Is it a beautiful way to close this conversation? We'll continue it. We want to hear your questions. I'll be collecting the questions during lunch. I suggest you go take a nap, walk, take a nap, have a cafecito, and then come back this evening for our evening program. Is our Queer Fandanguito series. It is put together by Region grantee Evelyn Donani Ariano. And the region program continues here at Galería de la Raza. It's our reparenting program. It was started and founded by Doctora Maria Luisa Baines during her time at Galería. She created the region program and really kind of a group of folks invested into what it would take to continue to develop, younger generations and cultivating their artistic practice and curatorial practice and administration. And so the program has many iterations, but it continues as a way for us to bring new artists and new voices into the community. And so this iteration of the region program in the last 2 years, we have been able to work with over 30 artists, more or less. And their focus is really not just the Mission District. We serve the region, we serve statewide. We're interested in, these international conversations of what it means to be Latinidad and our identities and Chicana identity. And so we focus on working with 5 zip codes of the city and county of San Francisco because that's where the entire population of Chicanos and Latinos live now. So it's the Mission, Excelsior, Bayview, this Valley, and the Tenderloin. And so our projects have been on the go from before. Some of them have been, once again, connecting directly with the communities that they're serving. So in one case, we had duo ceramics workshop in the TL with families there and partnered with Hospitality House, and the workshops are held there. The final projects became exhibitions that the community can come and see. And so region continues to do that. And so tonight's program is the Queer Fandanguito, which is the artist I mentioned. She is exploring new ways of kind of bringing fandango to the space and bringing queer kind of like community with it, and also finding lines across international kind of solidarity work. So they do a lot of work around bringing visibility. It's happening in Palestine, and it's going to be beautiful. Tonight's their second fandango. They're leading up to a series of fandanguitos. The final one will be at our youth space. So we're doing this in the quarter. Will happen at the next space. So go take a nap, and then come back and hear some music, and just make it a day here at 2-4. All right.
Any further questions? You're working on them right now. And we'll get the questions. Or after we finish. Okay. So, muy bien. The first question is for Yreina and Celia. And so, how did you start being
We actually did. We met. We met when Sid was teaching, and for a whole day, for ages, and talked about what would work and communication.
That's pretty much it. We came up with a whole line of pride, and then we went home, and then we. Good. That's a good talk, though, I think,
okay? That's
So I'm gonna ask this as well, because you sent me the images and they had a very clear sequence. You had spent time individually, but there was a narrative, there's a book on each side. And at first we were thinking that we do it in a traditional tradition, where the first was started, what we consider the rear of the book, and move backward, forward. I mean, and we were quite interested in doing that, but then there was we did.
From left, from right to left.
Yeah.
But for me, my work didn't make sense from that direction this way. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. Well, this question, can you speak about your book design process, how you design the pages, choose the colors and the background, to reflect the subjects, the aesthetics, and then there's comment, the book design itself.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is the challenge, to enter into the world of the artist. Challenge their, energy and their ideas. Start to think, what was the intention here? What is the palette of color that's being used within the subject? These beautiful purples and blues and greens. So that is where I started in terms of the backgrounds, and started manipulating it into something more less literal, something more color, light. So that kind of thing started really. And then my face, of course, always, was readable. They submitted a poem, where it's here, how does it read? And then the conversation about it, and talk about that.
Oh, this is one. Well, just real quick, I mean, Celia and Yreina have also written, they wrote art statements for us to stage, the statement. So, they had art statements. So, worked collaboratively, they also just offered some, and we decided, all four of us decided to take like little pieces of quotes from different locations. And then the reason I thought this is so cool, this is little blurb about different pieces separately in their own journey, but when we put them together on the page, there is this kind of sense of, spiritually, we are on the page.
Yeah, the conversation, and really literally creating that purple. So it's obviously
Also very important, God bless us will probably close out the Google Arts and Culture story in almost a ceremony to hear their voices in song songs and to be able to hear the voices of the artists is so important, especially these two artists have been professors, incredibly learned women, that clearly know how to write, how to work, to say.
Yeah. So here's another question that really follows up on this. Are there specific pieces that are in dialogue with each other? It's not specified by the person in the question, but I'll ask for each of you with your selection, and then do you feel there were pieces that were between the two selections? Is that one working?
Well, not overtly. They did say this piece talks to this piece, but I think that we should think about the same things and responding to the same kind of prompts. What wants to emerge. So I'm also targeting this work, and hopefully I've always loved the this work, and so I see it a lot, and but I don't think that we should. I think we got very excited and share page.
Yeah, before anything, Celia's work has always resonated with me, and so maybe subconscious goes right after the Jaguar appears a lot, and so and say that some of those pieces are like a connection. The book, there's a really small piece called Wiri Wiri con Abuelito. And so, in a conversation about, are you Chicana with a C? Are you post-Chicana? Are you Chicana with a text? And then I respond, are you Latinx? Are you white? And then the collaborators respond, what is this?
Just one more thought on that, which is that in creating the book, you have an opportunity to work with students and also very much work with the designer. When you get off into the art part, the is not driving, but it's actually opening to new possibilities and new solutions. Where this book was wide open because they could deliver anything, it could have gone anywhere, it could have been each, alternating. You could have taken it by putting all of one artist on one side and all of the other artists on the other. Sense of each dynamic building through the course of the book. So this was just a really interesting challenge, and thought that we could have a lot of interesting ways to work with really.
You know, I'll just add that I'm looking at Latinx, and for that matter, just artists. I'm not that aware, you know, the way it works, process, only use. I think it's very important. Just seeing that you also work at media much more both have built a lot with spiritual, and you know, it's medicine, it's guided work around these guidance. Just see things, you know, being consciously, very consciously. So following on that, we have looked at another good question. Political art. It's a big one, but a good one.
Yeah, thank you, Celia.
You know, for me, when I started trying to find that Carrillo and find that language, just and, you know, the religion, spirituality of Mesoamerica, because you see the feminine face of that masculine. And so that became really important to me. And also from the beginning, the spirituality for Native people throughout the Americas is a form of resistance. And so it's always really important just to share just a little anecdote. I was born in Kansas. My family moved to California when I was 7. In San Diego County. It's all surrounded by native reservations. The only trip we could go to there, because we really lived in the States, we really lived out of the Indian Church of the Nazarene. A missionary kind of situation where the pastors were always white and inevitably from the South. And it was just great. You know, as a kid, confusing, you know, the way they talk about spirituality and so for the longest I mean, every Sunday, we have to go to the culture. Which I'm just gonna 9-year-old would say. Anyway, so that just remember. Since it's activating. So, if you check. And to start with, I was not Catholic. My father was Catholic. My mother was Methodist. That was confusing. So, so, so when I really understand what we express this process in this and in those sacred texts, it was taking meaningful for me. And it resonated, even if I didn't understand, it was an energy that resonated with me. And then even more when I began to introduce the ceremony. All of that, and it's just resonated. That's the idea that spirituality and revelation is a spiritual existence.
Let's see if I can find it. All right, let's see. Oh, thank you. I'm trying to find it. Again, I'm sorry, but this is where I've been living lately in Columbus and the Cannibals by Jack Forbes. What do you mean by cannibal consumption? And so in this, says religion is in reality living. Our religion is not what we profess or say. What we desire. What we dream about, what we fantasize, what we think, all of these things 24 hours a day. One religion, whose religion, not merely the ideal life, but life that is actually lived. And I just thought that was so a reminder that sometimes, I really feel like I'm thinking about the Teoría Chicana, and I put in Teoría Chicana, I put in parentheses. And there's no reading, yeah, it's there, it's Teoría, it's part of it, it's inside. In some ways, this is very much how I thought about, what we do, and thinking about, how we've been continuing. I also know that politics can get in front of us. And, like I always felt that, Marx can't set us free because he's the product of or simply it says, if we maybe just our vision, from the center of the conflict, from back, we're still alive. So if we think of the word of life still being alive and that we keep that spirit alive by practice. Because artists and practice has to be what we do every day in practice. So in the politics, sometimes you can get in like it could be as assimilationist, it could be as resistant, it could keep us resistant as both edges. And so in all, we have to be able to go much stronger. It doesn't like trauma, therefore, it will avoid trauma, it will avoid trauma language. And so radical, I want to be able to visualize another world, see beyond it. I want to have my vision free to yes, each and every one of us. Do we know what other way? We know what other way that we in this world that we live in. It's very hard to fight without making rules and establishing governments. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to know, but I can't know without an
is my imagination. That's center of the but I would not see what's already there.
And you were doing great, those were great questions. So here is the next question. Which of your pieces is a reflection of where you're going next? This is an A-B question. I see the next generation of Latin, Chicana artists, jumpstart reflection. This is a reflection of where you're going next.
Well, first to start with the end, folks. The more I teach, and I apologize to all of you when I first started teaching. You know, I think I years. And I know I had long lecture. The longer I was trying to listen, the more I want students to do, engage to do the they among themselves, know so much, and the more I'm being taught. Right now, I'm going to this big event because I talk so much about it. My partner Sherry focuses like, if I'm talking, I'm going to sleep talking. She's in her right head. So I feel that the young people, maybe have something. For instance, that is another way to go. I don't know. There's something that's happened between or reaching each other as elders. And there's a huge gulf in between. We respect for both ways for what's being encouraged. And how do we talk to each other across this great chasm that it's made? This double narrowing thing, elder and younger. So the other, in terms of my work, is I was a teacher more than a writer. When I start to write, I can the words just disappear. And I always say it's like the spirit just leaves when you just find out. So I feel that maybe right now all I want to say is I don't know. I think I did work since I was like, I don't know. Word, and I thought it was a toy, and I realized my mom took in laundry for many years, and I think I was doing the pañuelos. I don't know what I'm gonna do now that I go. Open, and if you look at the work in terms of the color itself, that's what draws me. And I'm not sure where it's taking. I can't. I can just say we'll see what happens.
Well, in some of the work I talked about the economy discussion. The conversation across generations is so important. So I think it also is like there's different over generations, time, resonate. And so that for me is what's really important is keeping that kind of, over generations at a time. In my work, I think that I'm going to say that Celia said, I'm not quite sure yet. There's been a lot of transition on our last 5 years, mostly doing with issues of health. And so there are things that I think a lot of my energy is, but what comes next as far as the area. So.
So we've reached the end of this program. Thank you to everyone who wrote those questions and thank you to Museo, to Felicia Rice and Moving Parts Class, to Celia Herrera Rodríguez, and the Galería de place legacy and I personally learned to be here and that it continues. And thanks to all of you, for coming to join us and to this program. There are websites, Googling, where you can see interviews and more conversations with you. And sign up for the newsletter to see what's happening at Galería. Sign up for the newsletter at the Research Center, which is getting down. Thank you again. Great rest of the day. Nice to meet you. And thank you.
Yeah.
Myself and Savannah, so many years in the work and writing is so important, and so I thank you for your uplifting and for your support.
And you can see, for me, it's all about doing exactly. So I feel very lucky to be able to work with these. I think the full people as our city, they're just very excited that years ago, it's also it's like, oh, or that Talamantes is heroism and work this generation that is justice and third world and with each other here in the US. It's timely because that's what we're so that was a long good night. We have a great rest of the day. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna have to put on my DD hat. There is a QR code on our tables, there's a QR code on the table. Goes a long way. We really appreciate it. If you can't make it today, you want to make it. A lot of fun. So stay connected, and again, if you we will see you this summer.